Joyful blessings. This is Cayelin Castell. Very excited to share with you about a true blue moon. For many of you, it may not be what you think it is. It may not even be what I think it is, but we're going to explore some different possibilities. We're going to also look at how once in a blue moon is a reference to a rare occurrence, and we'll see why perhaps we have defined the blue moon as we have in the past and also currently. And we're going to look at blue moon magic, and we'll be looking at how there's magic in true blue moons that occur about every 33 months. So working with the number magic of the master number 33. Now, full moon magic happens with every full moon. And so we're just wanting to look at this from that perspective, and that we're all connected to magic. So if you consider that you are a being of the earth, the sea, the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, you are a magical being, because magic is the essence of this world. You are born of that magic. You are magic itself, and you cannot lose what and who you are, though you can forget. We can all forget. So our task is to remember that magic lives through and in you, and that it's our opportunity to uh, be willing to engage with magic. So here's a sense of living real magic. Uh, and this is going beyond the apparent power of influencing events by using mysterious forces, though that is a part of magic. That's a big part of magic. But sometimes it's just being noticing what's really going on around you, and that how the magic is happening all the time. Also, what we feel and believe represents our state of consciousness, and that gives rise to our experience, including magic. So if we believe, if we feel and believe, and we allow ourselves to feel the magic of life, we will live a more magical life. And also, real magic aligns with our intention and attention, and that creates events that are beyond explanation in our everyday reality. So again, intention, attention, what we feel, what we're focusing our energy on, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're saying, what we're doing, what actions we're taking. And so when we invite magic into our lives, we begin living a magical life. And some of you may remember or have heard me talk about how back in the late 1980s, I declared to the universe I wanted to live a magical life. And sure enough, the universe listened. It took a little while for it to get as magical as it is now, but it's pretty amazing. So now we're going to apply this to the blue moon. Now, when we think about a blue moon, it's really a name only because we don't usually see the moon as actually being blue. However, it can be seen as blue if you see it at the right angle and the right time, and there's smoke in the sky, it can appear blue. So that would be the most rare occurrence of a blue moon possible. Now, there are three types of blue moons that we define in our current reality. There is the calendric aspect, where there are two full moons in a calendar month. There's also the seasonal aspect, where there are four full moons in a season. And just something to know is that there are usually also two full moons in the same sign when there are two full moons in a season. And then, so that's the astrological way of looking at it, was when there are two full moons in the same sign that will happen in consecutive months. And the frequency that this all happens is usually about 33 months, not always, but we'll see more about that in a moment. Now, on August 2023, we'll have a full moon on the 1st of August at 9 Aquarius, and then on the 31st of August at 7 Pisces. So they're not in the same sign, but they are in the same calendar month. Now, the thing about our Gregorian calendar that was created back in the late 1500s is that it's not astronomically based. It is somewhat solar based because it only drifts one day in about 3,000 years, but it's not connected to a solstice or an equinox. The date that begins the calendar is January 1st, not connected to any solar cycle of solstice or equinox. And it's also not connected to a lunar cycle. So what this calendar tends to do is fixate our awareness on a linear way of tracking time, or a more left brain way of tracking time, and fixating our consciousness in a more material way, because in a cyclical way, we would have a more right-brained and a more, we could say, spiritual aspect of connecting to time. So we need both, and ideally we can use both. and we can use the linear way to track, and the more cyclical way to track, to create the magic that we desire. And it's all about intention and attention. So being aware of how to do that is powerful. Now, in 2026, there's going to be a full moon on May 1st and May 31st. The May 1st one is in Scorpio, and the May 31st one is in Sagittarius. And there are 33 months between August 2023 and May 2026. And so the number 33 can connect to the calendric expression of what most people believe to be a blue moon in our current era. Now, interestingly, 2 full moons in a calendar month will repeat every 19 years. So in August 2012, August 2nd and 31st there were 2 full moons, and that will repeat in 2023, as I just described. And then in 2015, July 2nd and 31st were 2 full moons, and that will repeat in 2034. The one that's really fascinating is in 2018, January 2nd and 31st were 2 full moons, and then there was no full moon in February, and then there were 2 full moons again in March 1st and 31st, and that will repeat 19 years later in 2037. So, and that was pretty amazing to think about, like the month of February not having a full moon at all. And the reason that happens is because it is 29 and a half days between full moons, and February only has 28 days. So that's why it happens when there's a full moon happening on January 31st, there won't be another full moon until March 1st. So again, seeing that 19-year process, and about every 33 months, there's going to be a 2 full moons in a calendar, in 1 month. Now, this definition of 2 full moons in a month started in an astronomy magazine. I think Sky and Telescope, I've read there, that is where they admit that they published an article in 1940 talking about 2 full moons in a month being a blue moon. But it's not the original definition, and they have now since published several retractions about that, and essentially refer to a 1937 article in Farmer's Almanac that describes a blue moon as occurring when there are 4 full moons in one season. And a season is defined as a time between a solstice and an equinox, or an equinox and a solstice. So if we think of from December 21st to March 20th, that's from the December solstice to the March equinox. So 4 full moons in a season. I mean, usually we have 3 full moons in a season because there's 3 months between the seasons, and there are 4 seasons in the year. 3 times 4 is 12. We have 12 months in our calendar. So it's not that often that we will have 4 full moons in a season. Now, if we go all the way back to December of 1999 and into 2000, there were 4 full moons from the December solstice to the March equinox. So December 21st, January 21st, February 19th, and March 20th, with 2 full moons in the sign of Virgo on February 19th and March 20th. Now, if we leap ahead to 2019, 19 years later, it's no longer happening in the season from the December solstice to the March equinox, but it begins with the March equinox and goes to the June solstice, with 2 full moons in March and April in Libra. But this is that 19-year cycle shifting just slightly. But kind of a fascinating thing to look at. So we can go into greater depth on this at another time, but I just wanted to give that sense that there are these full moons, 4 full moons in a season, and they happen, we'll see in a moment, usually about every 33 months. Now, over 40 years, when I've looked at this, going through 40 years, it's only happened in Virgo once, it's only happening in Capricorn twice, it's only happening in Scorpio twice, it's only happening in Aries once, it's only happening in Sagittarius once, and Pisces twice, and Libra twice, and it's not happening at all in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo, where you're going to have 2 full moons in the same sign during 4 full moons in a season. Pretty amazing. Now, what I did was I took out the Aquarius ones because it's happening 5 times. Like there are 5 times: 2002, 2021, the one that's happening as I'm doing this recording, with the Aquarius full moon on July 23rd, and then another one on August 22nd. And then in 2040, it'll be the same pattern. Now, there's also two that happen in 2013 and 2032, not in the same 19-year process, and it's a different 19-year process, but again, kind of close to what's going on in from the 2002 to 2040 process. So if we think about how there's five, which is significantly more than any others going on in this 40-year period, and it's an Aquarian emphasis that's happening now. This is really remarkable. And thinking about this, like, there's so much emphasis on the age of Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius isn't what people think. That's a whole other discussion. But at the time of this recording, Jupiter's in Aquarius, Saturn's in Aquarius, emphasizing the Aquarian mysteries. And there are 5 times in 40 years that we'll have 2 full moons in the sign of Aquarius. Super rare and amazing. Just something to have in our consciousness, and I might do something more about this later. Meanwhile, if we look at how many times the months are in between these full moons in a sign, 2 full moons in a sign, in 2000, it's 28 months until 2002 before it happens again. And then in 2000, from 2002, August of 2002, it'll be 34 months before it happens again in June of 2005. And so you can see how many times it happens that it's 33 months, and that's 7 times in the 40 years, and 3 times for 27 months, and 2 times for 28 months, and 3 times for 34 months. But you can see that it's generally about 33 months between these happenings. So we want to look at the high magic of 33 because it relates to the blue moon cycle. And this master number is a high vibrational energy. It really emphasizes the energy of love. And if we think of Aquarius being about universal love and having a broad picture and a perspective and so on, it kind of fits in with that as well. Courage, kindness, compassion, connecting with our spiritual life to our physical life, and then how this represents angelic guidance, divine guidance is another way you could look at that. We have 33 vertebrae in our spine, and there are 33 degrees of mastery in many mystery schools, including the Rosicrucians and Freemasons. So this number 33 gives us a sense of the higher magic that's associated with it. However, tuning into any full moon is, of course, a way to have an experience of full moon magic. And it definitely, any full moon can illuminate our essential divine nature, and whether it's called a blue moon or not. But this is because when we remember that we're informing the mysteries as much as they're informing us, if we're engaging with these times, then we can have our attention and intention on something that becomes meaningful and even magical. And the collective attention being on the 2 full moons in a month, even though it's not astronomically significant, will bring more significance to it as a result, because there's attention there and there can be intention. So then we could imagine that even then we have enhanced magical power of a true blue moon. But of course, the ones that are happening when there are 2 full moons in a sign within the 4 full moons in a season are the ones that are the true blue moons, worth really also paying attention to. So just to kind of invoke the true blue moon energy, I do this invocation, and there will be links in the show notes to find out more information about all of this. So I hope this has been helpful and significant. And here's the true blue moon invocation. Only once in a blue moon? What does it mean? Is it coming soon? What mysteries do you illuminate? What wisdom can I integrate? In this rare space and time, I ask your light to shine on what I most need to know, on where it is I need to go. Thank you for guiding me deep into great mystery. Thank you for your gift of light. Thank you for your gift of sight. Thank you for showing me my heart's desire as I truly embrace my inner fire. Thank you for showing me what is mine to truly see, So I am living even more magically.